The best in the West in association with Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union is your trusted local financial partner. Access your money 24/7 from anywhere in the world with an Access Credit Union current account and enjoy all the benefits while keeping your money local. We support local communities. We support you.
Close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
Hello and welcome to the Star Sport Podcast. My name is Jack McCarran of the Southern Star and I'm joined as ever by Star Sport editor Kieran McCarthy. The subject of our nation's mental health has rightly become a mainstream topic of conversation in recent years. Once thought of as taboo, you are now unlikely to listen to a radio programme or pick up a newspaper without a mention of wellness, mindfulness or cognitive behavioural therapy. Even so, the problems associated with mental health still exist and are, if anything, heightened during this period of lockdown. On today's podcast, we're going to be chatting to Cork and Castlehaven footballer Brian Hurley about Cork Club Together for Pieta, a new initiative which will see the Cork Senior football panel and management team run the required distance it takes to run through each of the 24 clubs involved in the senior setup in aid of mental health charity Pieta House. Starting with team captain Maguire of St Finbarr, the players will run a total of 432 kilometres between them over the course of the day, finishing back with the team manager Ronan McCarthy in Douglas. Brian spoke to Kieran a little earlier on about his own mental health and the importance of speaking up. We're also going to give you an update on Best in the West, our search for West Cork's greatest ever sportsperson. But Kieran, I think we should kick things off this week with Brian's chat. Firstly, what can you tell us about Cork Club Together for Pieta?
Seen in recent weeks, Jack, a lot of local GA clubs have held their fundraisers for various different charities, and a lot have run fundraisers for Pieta House, and the Cork footballers have clubbed together to put together this fundraiser for Pieta House, which, like you said, will be held this Saturday, May 30th. It's obviously for a very, very good cause, and in fairness to the Cork footballers, they've all pulled together in this, and hopefully they're going to raise a lot of money for Pieta House. I suppose the Cork footballers have the profile too, Jack, so this is a fundraiser that should capture the imagination of the general public, and hopefully a lot of money will be raised for a very, very good cause. And just to let our listeners know that you can go to gofundme.com and search for Cork Club Together for Pieta and make your donation there. And as well as that, they're very active on the various social media channels this week on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. So again, search for Cork Club Together for Pieta and follow the progress of the footballers this week. And they're having a couple of auctions there. Some of the footballers giving away memorabilia. I see Sean Powter and Mark Collins are giving away some of their gear. So it's a chance for Cork fans to get their hands on some Cork GA memorabilia, while also going to donate into a very, very worthy cause. And that's why I touched base with Brian Hurley, because when they launched this fundraiser last weekend, there was a video with Maguire and Brian, and Brian was talking about that he lost a friend to kind of mental health issues a couple of years back, and he also mentioned about that when he suffered his really serious injuries going back to 2016, that he had a couple of kind of dark days as well. So basically I just reached out to Brian just to have a chat, because we all know, Jack, I suppose fellas are kind of we're not very open to sharing our feelings. Sometimes we might kind of bottle things up, and what Brian is saying is it's okay to talk, you know, kind of. When he was going through his injury problems, he had friends that he could confide in and friends that were there to help him. So he's just getting the message out there that it's okay to talk, that it's good to talk, you know, kind of if you're feeling things are getting too much, just find someone to talk to and just share that problem, and you'll always find a solution. So good to catch up with Brian, and we had a good chat about their fundraiser for Pieta House, which again is this Saturday. This Saturday, May the 30th, the Cork Senior football panel and management team are coming together for Pieta House. It's a great idea. It's a big fundraiser for Pieta House, and we're delighted to be joined by Cork and Castlehaven footballer Brian Hurley to tell us a bit more about this fundraiser this Saturday. Can you fill us in, so Brian, just about this fundraiser and how it works?
Yeah, basically, Kieran, I suppose there's 24 clubs being represented, the Cork football team at the minute, and we came up with the idea that we'd run around the whole county in a kind of relay. So basically we'll be starting from the Bars, and I think we're finishing up with Douglas, and we'll be going, say, heading down for West Cork, Clonakilty, Rosscarbery, Castlehaven, to Cora, to Bantry. It just it brings the whole clubs together as well, and each member of the panel will be covering roughly around 10k. I think it's 432k in total, and it's for a great cause. So hopefully we can get as much support behind as we can.
And why for Pieta House, Brian?
Basically, I suppose a few of us met, and we kind of came up with the idea. Nearly everyone in the panel has come across mental illness or has someone that suffers with it, and this year, unfortunately, due to the current situation, they're down about €6 million, because usually the darkness into light run in the night creates a serious crowd, and unfortunately with the current 2k radius and whatnot, and the 5 miles, just to put under pressure. And we spoke with them, and they what they do is just incredible, and we got a few feedback stories from people that I suppose Pieta saved their lives, and it's something that we kind of said straight away, we have to get on this and try to support the best we can.
What struck me in the promo videos that you've done for Saturday's fundraisers, you were talking in the video, Brian, and you mentioned that you lost a friend to mental illness, and also when you ruptured your hamstring kind of quite severely back in 2016, it was kind of a low point too. So I suppose it's no secret that fellas are slow to talk. I suppose we all hide our feelings. Well, a lot of us do. We're kind of slow to talk and tell people how we really feel, and if there are people suffering, they might suffer in silence. But it is okay to talk, and it is very important to talk, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I suppose, unfortunately, I lost a close friend of mine, and I suppose a lot of families do suffer from it, unfortunately. And I suppose it's it's not breaking that silence that is the bottom line at the end of the day. I think people need to talk more and just say how they feel. Everyone has dark days and bad days, but some people just let them get up to them more than others. Especially it's friends. It's very hard to read if someone is struggling or not, and it's just small clues you need to pick up. And if you are struggling, it's totally okay to say it. There's nothing to hide or nothing to shy away from. People actually have nearly more respect for you, if you have the courage to come out and say it. So hopefully this campaign and, Pieta House and the Cork footballers can raise more awareness for people to talk out, and for them to come forward and say that they're not okay,
We've spoken obviously a couple of times, a lot in the recent years, about your own kind of injury problems. And I remember us talking before, and you had setbacks along the way, but you weren't frightened to talk to people. You weren't frightened to open up about your feelings. Kind of in those low moments, Brian, was it important for you to have those friends and have those people you could talk to and say, look lads, I'm feeling like this. Look lads, I'm feeling a bit low. Was that very important in your journey?
Yeah, it was. Look, at the end of the day, the biggest thing for me was that I love sport so much. I lived for GA. I lived for GA all my career, really, and it's when the frightening thing for me was when I was kind of told that I might not play again, was the hardest thing for me to take, and it wasn't the norm. I was going to the unknown, and that was the hardest thing for me, and geez, I had some dark days, dark nights, but everything that you play and you enjoy was taken away from you, and it's just very hard. Your emotions are so different. You don't know what you're looking for. And I had some incredible people in my corner, I can tell you. My medical team were just top class. They were top class. my family, like, you know, you take everything for granted before something happens, yeah. And my friends, like, you know, like I said this to you before, I'd fellas dropping ice bags to my door, like, you know, people from the club. You know, I'd people ringing me from, you know, all sorts of all over the country, like, and before you kind of would have snapped that off because you're a Cork footballer and you think you're everything, like, you know, but you're inside in a bubble, and when that's all taken away, you know, it gives you a good kick up the backside to be lucky. The whole experience that I had of my injury, it's made me definitely a better person and made me open my eyes way more, like, you know. So, like, you know, in a way, it was probably the worst thing that ever happened to me, but definitely one of the best things. That what I've learned from it, from outside of a football picture and perspective, it's frightening, like, you know.
And really, I do think the message that we've just both talked about there is for fellas, especially, and of course women as well. Just talk, you know, kind of you have a friend somewhere, you have someone you can confide in. Just if you're feeling low, if things are tough, just talk. You know, if you share a problem, you know, kind of then you can start to help solve it. And I think what was very interesting too, Brian, in the press release that you had, was it Pat Duffy at Pieta House. He mentioned that one piece of research that I would like to mention from a few years ago through the Open University and in conjunction with the University of Ulster, is that saving one person from suicide, you might actually help as many as 71 people. And that actually struck a chord with me, and I said, it's a very important piece of information to get out there as well. And that's why the Cork footballers doing this fundraiser for Pieta House this Saturday is a fantastic idea, and it's for a brilliant cause. So I just want to wish you the very best luck, Brian. For anyone looking for information on this fundraiser, there's a couple of social media pages there, and it's Cork Club Together for Pieta is on social media channels. And go to GoFundMe, their GoFundMe page, and please donate. Like I said, it's for a great cause. And I'm going to wish you the best of luck for the weekend, Brian. You're probably looking forward to getting out on the road, running your 10K down around Castlehaven.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, no, look, it's for a great cause, like, and you enjoy kind of doing them things, like, you know. Look, as you said, if we can save one life or get the message across, that's all that's what we're trying to do. And if we can raise as much as we can, that's what it's all about, like, you know. But the key to get it is just to get the message across, and, you know, for people that are uncomfortable, or especially with the current situation, like, you know, it's unknown times for everyone in jobs and whatnot, and stuck inside houses. Look, there's plenty of help out there, like, and, you know, plenty of people willing to talk to. It's just to have the courage to talk, and it's okay not to be okay, like, you know.
Just on a football note for a second before I let you go, this is I suppose a couple of days after what should have been the Munster semi-final against Kerry in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. How is life without football at the moment?
Yeah, it is strange. You know, I woke up the other morning and I was kind of saying, Jesus, like, you know, I'd love to be heading down the park now, trying on the gear and just getting into champo mode, like, you know, especially at the weekend being savage weather and whatnot. Like, it's a weird time, like, you know. It's very weird because it's just like your body is kind of waiting to go, like, you know, and it's kind of you have to put it on stall, and you have to keep taking over, obviously keep the body in good shape and whatnot. But something I've never come across, like, you know. Every time, you know, May, June comes, it's you know, it's business in, like, and it's time to really pick up the pedal, like, you know what I mean. But and you know, you don't know what's coming in the next few months either. It's very weird. It's you nearly have to zone out in a weird way, like, kind of like when I was injured, I kind of like just zoned out and concentrated on my rehab, where at the minute I'm just concentrating on a few things I need to work on, and just making sure my fitness is there and making sure my hamstring is fully, you know, in strength, and doing enough strength conditioning on it, and just getting ready to go. But you nearly have to zone away from it and then really pipe yourself up for when it does come, like, you know. It's weird to explain, to be honest with you.
Because you had that bit of a setback with the hamstring earlier in the year, but you were always primed to come back, weren't you, for that game against, I think, was it Louth in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, and that was just before everything was kind of put on hold. Like, you were almost close to that comeback. I actually think you were going to be named in that starting team, I think, for that game against Louth in Páirc Uí Chaoimh that Sunday. So is it safe to presume that the injury's fine, you've rehabbed okay, and you're back fighting fit again?
Yeah, everything's good. Everything's good. I was very close to coming back, I'd say, just before this whole thing came on, unfortunately. But Yeah, look, it's always good, like, you know, but then again, like, you're not playing game situation, you're not training, so where I'm really at, it's hard to tell, like, you know, I'm doing the work and I'm continuing on my program as I was, like, but I suppose it's a different story when you're sprinting 100% and you're twisting and turning and you're taking on players, like, you know, but body feels good. No, everything does feel good. It's just missing the football more than anything, like, you know.
Take it easy with the 10K anyway on Saturday. And just for our listeners again, like I said, check out Cork Club Together for Pieta on social media, and please go to their GoFundMe page and donate for Pieta House. Best of luck on Saturday, Brian.
Thanks, Kieran. Stay safe.
The best in the West in association with Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union is your trusted local financial partner. Access your money 24/7 from anywhere in the world with an Access Credit Union current account and enjoy all the benefits while keeping your money local. We support local communities. We support you.
Welcome back to the Star Sport podcast, and now we're going to turn our attentions to Best in the West, our search for West Cork's greatest ever sportsperson, a campaign we've been running since last week in association with Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union is your trusted local financial partner. Access your money 24/7 from anywhere in the world with an Access Credit Union current account and enjoy all the benefits while keeping your money local.
Just want to say, Jack, quickly before we go on to talking about the competition itself, just a thanks for Access Credit Union to coming on board as sponsors, because I've actually held a credit union account since I was 7 years of age. I remember back home that we were inside a national school and the local credit union came in and we all opened up our credit union accounts, and we used to put in £1 a week, as it was back then. For 10 weeks in a row, they came to our national school in Fossa, and we used to put in £1 a week. And why it sticks in my mind is there was a competition one week and I won £10 for my credit union account. And as you know, kind of Kerry people are known for their liking of money and our slowness to part with it. So as a 7 or 8 year old, to win £10 and for it to go straight into my credit union account, kind of, it always stuck in my mind. And it's still there. That same £10, which is what in euro now, 11 or 12 euro, is still there. So no, it's just that's just a story that struck in my mind, Jack, when I see that the credit union came aboard. So just a big thanks to them again.
Yeah, absolutely. And just while we're on the topic of credit unions, I actually opened a credit union current account with Access Credit Union in the last few months, because obviously I'm not originally from Skibbereen, but I've been living here for almost 2 years now, so I said I better keep some of my money local. And what I loved about setting up of the credit union with Access Credit Union was how easy the process was. Like, how many times have I gone online to sign up for any number of things, even social media accounts, anything, and the sign up process is so arduous that I just decide I'm not finishing this, and I quit. I quit on the signing up or registration, but I didn't for Access Credit Union because the sign up process was so easy. It was totally uncomplicated, and you get all the same benefits you would with a regular current account. So I'm talking, you can still use the ATM, you can still use contactless, and as I said in the little plug earlier on, it's while keeping your money local. There's transparency with the fees, no hidden fees, which I always like, because you know exactly how much money is coming out of your account every time you use an ATM, which is zero because you get 5 free ATM uses per month. So yeah, I know, look, we're this podcast is sponsored by the credit union, but I have to say I've had nothing but good experiences with Access, and as you said, they form part of our community. But let's move on from that for now, Kieran, and we're going to talk about Best in the West. It finally got underway on Monday morning. We're recording this podcast on a Tuesday, so if you're listening to this on Thursday or Friday, you will have known some more of the results. But the opening tie in the last 16, Kieran, was Declan Barron up against road bowling icon Bill Daly, and the road bowlers were out in force on social media all day yesterday, getting behind their man, seeing him through to the quarterfinals.
That's exactly it, Jack. Kind of road bowling won, GA nil, I think is the headline from the first last 16 ties. So a great result for native Bill Daly, a former 2-time world road bowling champion, 5-time King of the Road, road bowling champion, and so many more honours. So he got the better of Declan Barron of Bantry and Cork football fame. I thought at one point that Barron could leap into the air like he did in his prime and kind of snatch this tie from the jaws of defeat and rescue it, but it wasn't to be. So it's Bill Daly is the first person we know who's through to the quarterfinals of Best in the West. So it's great to have the competition up and running, Jack. I've been looking forward to this one for some time now. And like we mentioned last week when Ronan McCarthy was on the podcast, that this is going to create plenty of debate and kind of arguments and so on. And I actually found out over the last couple of days that through Twitter, texts, and even on Instagram, I was getting a couple of private messages about how come so and so wasn't in it and how come this person wasn't in it. But that's exactly what you want. Like we said, to narrow it down to a shortlist of 16 was a task in itself, and there was a couple of high-profile people who didn't make the cut, but I was very happy with our last 16, so it's great to have it up and running. And there's some cracking ties this week, I have to say. I'm going to jump forward to Thursday, and it's one I'm looking forward to is Jennifer O'Leary against Nolly Cleary. That's two of the greatest sportswomen that West Cork has ever produced up against each other. So yeah, it's kind of good to have it up and running, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. We might preview some of the other ties in a second, but I just want to touch on the opening round, which, as mentioned, was Declan Barron up against Bill Daly. And I did see one criticism on social media that caught my eye, and I'm keen to get your thoughts on it. I can't get the person's name up here right now, but the gist of what he was saying was that road bowling is only a big sport in Cork, so how could you include him in the final 16? But I think the very fact that road bowling is a big sport in Cork, that's the point. This is West Cork's greatest ever sports, people. So if you excel at a sport in West Cork in which that sport is popular in the area, you have every right to be included. In fact, it would be wrong of us not to include the road bowling fraternity. So would you agree that that piece of criticism doesn't really ring true?
Yeah, 100%. I saw that tweet kind of appear on Monday. And there was actually two fellas who tweeted, and one has deleted since because others came in to kind of point out that road bowling was a very important part of the West Cork sport and fabric, and it's been here for countless years. It'll be here for many more years to come. And you talk about road bowling, Bill Daly made the cut, but Greta Cormacan, who was a 9-time All-Ireland winner, didn't make it, and she could just have easily been the last 16. And road bowling is such an important sport here in West Cork, Jack, and like there's a lot of people from other sports who row bowl as well. I'm off the top of my head now, I'm thinking of Dave Shannon, O'Donovan Ross, kind of footballer and hurler. He's been at Carbery County, he's done really well at those levels. Holly O'Sullivan, who's the Carbery Rangers senior manager, and super on the road last year bowling, and there's a lot more besides that. Actually, one of the most high-profile fellas would be James O'Donovan, the Bandon GA Jewel Star, who's one of the top senior men in the county. So
Ronan McCarthy had a great piece on him in the Star a couple of weeks ago, didn't he?
Exactly, yeah. So no, I kind of saw that criticism coming through, and I just ignored it because I thought it was an absolute load of nonsense, pile of rubbish. Just obviously two fellas who just didn't agree with the way the poll was going. But no, road bowling 100% deserves its space and its spot in Best in the West. And it was just great to see Bill Daly kind of advance to the last 8, and with the road bowling community now kind of they've their tails up. They're after kind of rallying the troops, and you could see a couple of people from up the country, well, a lot from up the country were voting too yesterday. So Bill Daly could be one to watch in the weeks ahead, Jack. Yeah,
absolutely. It is interesting to see the road bowling community get behind him. You mentioned it at the end of last week's show that a lot could depend on which communities get behind their man or woman. So we mentioned that road bowling may well get behind their man. That has come true. We also mentioned, will the soccer community in West Cork get behind the likes of John Caulfield or Conor Howard, or will the West Cork rugby community throw their weight behind Laura Guest? So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out, because it could well come down to one sport against the other as opposed to the competitors in question. So it all makes for very exciting times. One that I'm really interested in, I mentioned last week as well, is the Noel Feely versus Phil Healy, which takes place on Friday, purely because they're both speedsters in their own right. Noel Feely's been riding around on racehorses they probably should have run faster than Phil over a long distance, I suppose, for the last 30 or 20, at least 20. How long did he ride for? Over 20 years. He had over 1,000 winners, and so I think his achievements put him in with a good shout. But to many people in West Cork, like, West Cork is not a big horse racing area in terms of, there is some great jockeys. We have the likes of Aidan Coleman as well. I think there was an interview with Brian Hayes in last week's Southern Star. But the community itself in West Cork doesn't seem as big as it would for athletics. So that's another interesting one. So I'm enjoying it so far. The people of social media seem to be enjoying it too. As always, there's plenty of criticism, and I expect plenty more over the coming weeks. But yeah, just keep following the Star Sport podcast. Pick up a copy of this week's Southern Star and check out southernstar.ie for all the latest updates. And Kieran, before we wrap up today's show, could you give us a quick taste of what's to come in this week's Southern Star Sports section?
Yeah, before I do, Jack, I just want to mention again to people that for Best in the West, you vote on Twitter polls. I had a man called Mick get my number yesterday, and I got a phone call and a voicemail and a text message off Mick who was asking me about, is it only on Twitter that we can vote for Best in the West? And I got back to him and I said, yes, Mick, it's on Twitter. So just to remind our listeners and our viewers that it's the Twitter polls run on my Twitter page at 10 a.m. every morning. They open and they run through till 2 a.m. the following morning. So there's a huge window there for people to vote. So to people like Mick who were unsure where they could vote, that it is on Twitter. All these polls are on Twitter. And I'm just going to give a quick rundown, Jack, if you don't mind, just on some of the ties coming up at the latter end of the week, just so our listeners will know to pop over to my Twitter page and cast their vote. On Wednesday, it's Keith Cronin against Conor Horan. On Thursday, like we said, it's Jennifer O'Leary against Nolly Cleary. On Friday, we've Paul O'Donovan against John Caulfield. On Saturday, it's the meeting of Niall Cahalane and Laura Guest. Then on Sunday, it's Kevin Ger O'Sullivan up against David Hart. And in the final last 16 tie is next Monday, June 1st, Noel Feely against Phil Healy. And then there's a gap of a couple of days before the quarterfinals kick off. So again, pop over to my Twitter page on Twitter, and that's where you can cast your vote. And every vote does count. I think back to, there was a local election a couple of years ago in West Cork, Jack, and Holly Cairns, or that one, Holly Cairns involved in it. One vote. I can't think, yeah.
Finbarr.
Oh God,
Finbarr.
Yeah.
We're not part of the political staff here in the Southern Star, so
yeah, it just shows that I don't really follow the political side.
Finbarr Harrington.
Sport. Yeah, Finbarr Harrington, and it came down to one vote, I think. So when people might think that, oh, my vote won't make a difference, it really could make a difference, because I know from these polls in the past that they can be very, very tight. So if you have your favourite, please vote for your favourite in Best in the West. And you might have a couple of favourites, so you might have your fingers in a couple of pots, but just vote and we'll see where we're up in a couple of weeks. But turning our attention to this week's Southern Star, I have a nice little piece on Best in the West, Jack. And what I've done, I got in touch with a couple of local sports people and asked them to pick who they think the best in the West is. And they didn't necessarily have to pick someone from our short list of 16. So we got 9 or 10 local sports people, from Cork footballer Melissa Duggan to athlete Darragh McElhinney, Ireland under 20 Grand Slam winner Josh Wycherley is in there, Foley of Tyreen, Laura Sheehan from Ireland and Munster, and Ireland rugby star, to Lily Delacour, the world kickboxing champion, who herself could have made the last 16. They've all selected who they think the best in the West is, and who their favourite West Cork sports person is, and a reason why. So that's quite interesting, and it's well worth to read. Actually, it's a super piece, Jack, on the Clonakilty team that won County Munster and All Ireland honours back in 2009. It's 11 years ago, and he's done a great piece by talking to a couple of the players from that team. So that's well worth picking up. Also, I caught up with the Dunmanway powerlifter Ross O'Connor, who picked up another CIT award recently. Ross has been the man behind the success of CIT. Very interesting piece there. also Rice, who people might know as the O'Donovan Rassa senior football goalkeeper, and he was also the Cork #1 for a couple of years as well. But rewind back 10 years, and Ryan was actually on the bench for a couple of Cork City League of Ireland games. So this is an interview with Ryan Price just about his own soccer career and focusing in around his time with Cork City, because he was on a very good City youth team that was captained by Kevin Long, now with Burnley and Ireland, captained by Kevin Long, and they won everything there was to win back in 2009. So it's an interesting piece with Ryan Price, and also Dennis Hurley has a good interview with Ian Maguire, kind of just chatting about the fundraiser coming up with the Cork footballers this weekend, while Ian also kind of talks about his thoughts on what's going on at the moment football-wise. And in fairness to Martin Walsh and our motorsport, in recent weeks, Martin's come up with some cracking columns, and this week is a really good one as well. He talks to Nuala Nivreen. She was a teacher in Scull Community College, and she was very heavily involved in motorsport in the past, and it's a really good interview with her, really worth the read. So lots of good content in there again in the sports section, on sale Thursday morning. Either go into the shop and pick it up, or you can pick it up online, but it's great value. It will definitely entertain you, as it always does.
Yeah, as Kieran mentioned, the Southern Star is available to read online as well. Just go to www.thesouthernstarTV/e-paper and you can read the Southern Star for less than €2 a week. Thanks for listening to the Star Sport Podcast. We'll be back sometime later this week, maybe early next week. We'll probably decide that in an editorial meeting that we'll have straight after we finish recording here. So watch this space, keep an eye on our social media channels. If you enjoy these shows, please make sure to rate, review and subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Acast, Stitcher, or wherever else you listen to the show.
The best in the West in association with Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union is your trusted local financial partner. Access your money 24/7 from anywhere in the world with an Access Credit Union current account, and enjoy all the benefits while keeping your money local. We support local communities. We support you.